Today, the Seahawks signed a couple more defensive veterans to the roster. Welcome back to another episode of the Seattle Sports Show, where we love Seattle pro sports. I'm your host, Mikey, and we are here to talk about a couple of signings that the Seahawks made today. Veteran safety Kayvon Wallace and defensive tackle Johnathan Hankins. Okay, so let's just take a quick dive into these players here. Kayvon Wallace, safety, 5'11", 205 pounds, 26 years old. And then just looking at the history of the player here, again, it's another one of those veteran players that they are signing. Again, coming off of their rookie contract, been in the league 4 years, and shows promise, but really hasn't, made a name for himself yet. But coming off, I guess, the most productive year. What does that mean? I mean, we're talking about, again, drafted in 2020, started 3 games that year. This was with Philly. 2021 started 3 games. 2022 only started in 1 game. But 2023, Kayvon Wallace was traded to Arizona, and then Tennessee. So went to a couple teams this year, but actually started 12 games in total between the teams here. And coming off this year, we're looking at let's see here. That'd be 89 tackles this year in total, 62 solo tackles, 27 assists. So then we're looking at 1 tackle for a loss, a QB hit, 6 pass deflections, an interception, and that's just this year. So career wise, like I said, not making a lot of starts in the past. So for the career, only that 1 interception. Does have a fumble recovery for the career, 153 tackles total. So you could see, this last year making 89 tackles. That was a big jump over the previous 3 years. Total of 110 tackles in the career, 2 tackles for loss, and 1 QB hit. That's the total for the year. So again, another veteran player who still young, and potentially could be another sort of utility safety that Mike McDonald could use in his system, because he has played both strong safety and free safety. So he is that kind of safety that Mike McDonald seems to like, where you can kind of plug him and play him wherever you like. All right, now Johnathan Hargrave. Let's talk about him. 6'2", 320 pounds. This is our defensive tackle, the nose tackle, in fact. And we're looking at 31, basically 32 years old. He's going to be like 32 years old, and like sometime within like the next couple of weeks. Let's see. For Johnathan Hankins, we're looking at coming into the league in 2013, and playing for the Giants, the Colts, the Raiders, and most recently Dallas. So obviously, Adam Durde will have experience with this player, and he's already going to be familiar with what Johnathan Hankins can do and what he's all about and how they can utilize him. Okay, so let's kind of look at the numbers. We'll look at the career numbers because it's a longer career. You've got 10 years in here. So career wise, has played in 152 games and has started in 134 of them. Has 12 pass deflections. Has forced 3 fumbles. Also has 3 fumble recoveries. In total for the career, 17.5 sacks, 403 tackles in total, 224 of those being solo. We're looking at 39 tackles for loss, 50 quarterback hits. So again, productive career for Johnathan Hankins, and can come in, be that nose tackle, the anchor in the middle of your defense. And again, just the added benefit of having somebody on the coaching staff that already has experience with him and knows how to use him. That's your defensive coordinator. Then you would think he's going to be able to relay that to Mike Macdonald, the head coach, who's essentially going to be the coordinator on game day. But he'll make sure that Macdonald is going to know how to use Johnathan Hankins in the best way possible. All right. Now, both of these players, we have no idea what their contracts are. No details about that yet. We have gotten some more details about some other players recently. Tyrell Dotson's contract is 1 year, 4.2 million. 4.2 million. Rayshon Jenkins contract, 2 years, 12 million. 4.1 million will be the cap hit in 2024. Nick Harris got the 1 year, 2.15 million, and all of that is going to be on the cap for 2024 as well. Now, while we're here talking about cap space, because I still see a lot of people going on about it on social media, and how we're going over the cap. We're going over the cap. It's the off season. We got under the cap to start the 2024 league year. March 13th is when that was. We had to be under the cap by then. Okay? We got under it. So we're able to one, we complied with the league rules. If you don't make that happen, sometimes there's penalties, whether it's fines or losing a draft pick or something like that. But we were just fine. We got way under the cap by the time the league year happened, as you remember. So that's not a big deal. And now that we're actually in the new league year, remember, the way this works is that teams can be in agreement with players up to 90 players. We're going to have 90 players on the roster in the offseason who will then also be competing in training camp and throughout preseason to make this team. So if you just look at the number everybody's getting, then you're going to say, whoa, they're going to be way over the cap. Well, not everybody is going to count against the cap. A lot of these players are going to get cut, and it is not going to cost the Seahawks anything. Let's go to all the numbers on here aren't up to date yet, but let's go to Spotrac.com right now, and we can take a look at this, okay? And here's another thing that I think we should look at, because I see a lot of people getting it wrong. What is the Seahawks salary cap? Okay, we know this year the league salary cap is $255,400,000. Okay, but let's let's look at what else we have going on. We also rolled over 5,674,226 from the 2023 season. Okay, so with those two numbers combined, our adjusted salary cap is $261,494,226 total. That is the Seahawks salary cap for 2024, because we were under the cap by $5,674,226 at the end of 2023. After the regular season was over, we got to roll that over into this year's cap space. So we're basically at 261 million is what our cap space is. Okay, so there's one thing. We have a little bit. It's not a huge significant amount, but if you look at that and look at the type of players the Seahawks have been signing lately, that's more than a few players worth. Also, when we're looking at cap right now, you're going to see the total here on Spotrac, total top 51. Okay, and again, this number that they have on Spotrac, this is not up to date yet either. I saw that there's still contracts that they don't have the details on and haven't been updated. But $243,913,366 for what they have information about the top 51 contracts. That's what they know. Okay, and if you don't know what the top 51 is, that's all that counts against the cap during the offseason. You take the top 51 contracts on the team, and that is how you are going to figure out how much cap space the team has. Okay? So during the offseason, the NFL will be looking at just the top 51 contracts and say, hey, that is what is counting against your cap right now. Then everybody else, like all the players down here that we know the contracts of, players like Tyler Mabry, tight end, $915,000. Patrick O'Connell, linebacker, $915,000. Safety Ty Okada, $915,000. Linebacker Drake Thomas, $915,000. Cornerback Lance Boykin, defensive end Latrell Bumpus, each $795,000. All these guys are not going to be in the top 51 by the time we have 90 players signed for the offseason to be competing and whatnot for training camp and preseason. Okay, so the other thing about all these players, just look, Miles Adams, Tyler Mabry, Patrick O'Connell, Ty Okada, Drake Thomas, Cody White, Aesop Winston, Levi Bell, Lance Boykin, Latrell Bumpus, Matt Godel, Bryant Koback, Johnathan Sutherland, Andrew Whitaker. We know their contracts, and we can see here in the dead cap column, none of those players have any dead cap penalty. So we're going to get up to 90 players. And then remember, by the time regular season starts this year, August 29th is the date you have to cut off by, I believe. The team has to cut everybody down, cut enough players to get the roster down to 53 players. At that point, then all 53 players who are on the active roster will count against the salary cap. It's kind of pointless and useless, like at this point right now, being worried about all the players are signing and how much over the salary cap they're going to be. Remember, it is the off season. we got under the salary cap to begin the league year, so we already met that need. Now, essentially, every team is going to be over the cap, because every team is going to be signing free agents that are on minimum deals like that carry no dead cap. They're going to be, in agreement with these players. They'll have an agreement in place. Then they're going to go draft all their players, and then they're going to also make agreements with a ton of undrafted free agent rookies. Okay, so we're gonna, all the NFL teams are gonna get 90 players on their roster to be competing in training camp and preseason. So until we really hit that cutoff date when we have to cut down 53 players, it's not that big of a deal that they're going out and signing, all these veteran minimum deals that they've been doing, because it's not really having a huge effect on the cap. Now, if they, end up signing, if there ends up being a bunch of veterans that they are signing right now that make the team, a bunch of free agents that they have that they make the team, they might get to a point where, they could reach or be over the salary cap when they need to cut down to the 53-man roster. But again, throughout the offseason, if the Seahawks organization sees that coming, they will do what they need to do to make sure that they are under the cap by August 29th or whatever the date is this year for cutting the roster down to 53 men, whether that is, taking advantage of signing bonuses or extending and restructuring contracts, trading players that they decide that they don't want that salary for the player, anything like that. There'll be plenty of things that they can do. So they're not really in that big of trouble right now. And we're not going to stop seeing them bring players in. It's definitely going to slow down at this point, but it'll ramp back up again once, a lot. It'll ramp up a lot again once the draft happens, because they're going to draft the players, and then after the draft is over, they're going to be inviting everybody in that they can to get up to that 90-man roster for the training camp and preseason. So I just wouldn't be overthinking it right now, or being overly worried about it right now. We have plenty of cap space, 261 million this year. Right now, only the top 51 actually count against your salary, and you can look at the deals that they've been making with players that they've been signing. A bunch of one-year deals with veterans that aren't getting big money, so they're going to be just fine. We'll have all the money we need to, sign whatever draft picks that we decide are going to make the team. Okay, so just kind of wanted to bring that up and mention that because I just see so much salary cap talk, on social media, and people making YouTube videos, and people are in a panic. This is every offseason for every NFL team. Okay, guys, so don't get yourself into panic. This is the normal way things go. Yeah, so there it is. There's a couple of new players that we brought in. There is the look at what the salary cap situation is looking like. And again, I just wouldn't really worry about it, or you know, speculate too much on how much a certain player is going to count against the cap this year, because again, when they sign deals, you we'll figure it out eventually. Those details will be brought to light. It's the NFL, so you're not going to wonder, well, how much does it count against the cap? If a player signs, a $50 million contract for 5 years, you don't say, oh, okay, well, that means it's 10 million against the cap every year. No, they're going to have signing bonuses. They're going to have roster bonuses. They're going to have, whatever how the team decides to structure the deal to figure out how the salary, how much they're going to count against the salary cap. Again, just to look at an example again from this year, if we look at Leonard Williams, we just redid the contract with, it was, a total of a total of 64,500,000, right? So if you look at that, then you would say, oh, well, that's what is that, like 20 something million a year is what you would be thinking. That is counting against your cap, almost 21 million a year. But instead, his salary cap hit for 2024 is let's see here, what is his cap hit for 2024? 10.4 million is what his cap hit is for 2024. So it's all going to be about how the Seahawks structure it, and and what they decide to do in the future, how much they're going to front load it, how much they decide to back load. When these details come out, then we'll know. It's just, you can't just look at it and say, oh, well, it was reported 64 million, so it's 21 million a year that's going to go against the cap. That's not really how it works. So again, just keep that in mind going forward, and let's have fun the rest of this offseason, seeing what other players they decide to bring in here to compete to make this team in 2024. All right. That's gonna be this episode. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, the notification bell. Leave it in the comments below. What did you think of these signings? How likely do you think it is that either of these players make the team? I think again, Kayvon Wallace, he's going to be attractive for the versatility he has to somebody like Mike McDonald. He's going to like that, and adding dirty, having that experience with Johnathan Hankins, I think that's going to make it more likely that he makes the team and can have an impact on the team as well. And playing nose tackle, being a bigger body that is actual, good nose tackle size, then I think that will help him in the long run. All right. So yeah, let me know about that. And then if you're listening on the podcast version, whether it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please hit follow, hit subscribe, leave that 5-star rating and a written review, because it all helps the show grow. And thanks for listening to the Seattle Sports Show, where we watch legends awaken. So take cover, because with a sea of sound, you will see us rise to reign supreme and win forever.